Hello, I'm Sondra Rapoport, Roman historian, and today we're going to be talking about sex in the ancient world, this time in Rome. So, ancient Rome has long been associated with parties, orgies, and scandalous excess. Many Roman emperors passed laws in an attempt to contain this, but sometimes that's just life in the city, especially ancient Rome. Today, we will be talking about the sex practices and scandals in ancient Rome. I have touched on this subject before in a few of my other videos, and I will put links to them and attach them at the end of this video so you can watch those again if you like, or for the first time. They're very fun. If you remember from the erotic imagery video, our very good friend, the Flying Phallus, and this is part of the very common erotic imagery that you'd find in the ancient world, especially in ancient Rome. And this isn't always seen as sexual, even though it is a penis with wings. But it is part of the culture. It's good luck, that sort of thing. So there's that sort of sexual aspect of ancient Rome that's part of everyday life. But also, we've discussed a little bit also about some of the things that aren't really part of the acceptable everyday. And we've discussed professional sex in the ancient world. And I'll also leave a little link and at the now and at the end of the video as well. But in sex in the ancient world, bordellos, prostitutes, so forth. But we won't be talking about that too much today. A little bit though. We are going to talk today about some deliciously naughty scandals and some very infamous characters. This is going to be really fun. Rome, my absolute favorite city. So well known for its laws, its architecture, being the center of a great empire. Absolutely beautiful, now with fabulous museums, and it is known for order and for its great leaders and even for its matronly women as well. But as most of my stories go, that's not always the case with ancient Rome or any place in the ancient world. So join me for a glass of wine, and we will start out first addressing the issue of Bacchus. And I think that will be fun for everybody. So Bacchus, or as the Greeks call him, Dionysus. Now Bacchus isn't a super serious god like Minerva / Athena here. He is more of a god associated with the acts that usually go with wine and fertility. Sexual, orgiastic, and the term Bacchic is most definitely has that connotation as well. So we're going to discuss Bacchus and also the followers of Bacchus, the cult of Bacchus. So let's look at the idea of the Bacchanalia, the frenzied, extreme orgies that are written about by so many historians. And the cult of Bacchus was known for its orgiastic practices. So much so, and so overwhelmingly were these stories, and so shocking, that the Roman Senate was shocked. And the Bacchic rituals were actually outlawed. Their practices were outlawed. However, these Bacchic practices were also part of something called a mystery cult, which meant that it was a secret. So there are a lot of things about this that may be rumor, conspiracy, belief, or fact, So it's a mystery only to be known by those who have been admitted to its membership. So how much has been passed down over time as rumor, and how much has actually been told as truth, we won't know. Some of these historians, I don't know if they ever went to these events, but they certainly heard tell of them from others. It's a very interesting practice. The frenzied orgies in the worship of this god have gone down in history and have been part of what people think of when they think of ancient Rome. I know some of you are thinking, Sondra, what about those orgy dinner parties I've heard so much about that went on in ancient Rome? Well, I will tell you about that too. It's not always exactly what you think. The ancient Roman dining room is known as the triclinium, and usually dinner served in it was not an extreme debaucherous affair. The triclinium, as you can see in this picture, is made up of 3 couches, and you recline on them, and you're served by your slaves off of little tables, and it's usually finger food type of things, and you nibble and relax, and that is the style of eating. You can see in this recreation the 3 couches and the setup of this dining room, which it's lovely. I think very, very comfortable looking. However, I know that some of you are still wondering. Yes, as you suspect, sometimes dinner parties would include prostitutes or sexual performers, and that including good music and lots of wine, and you're already reclining on a comfortable couch. These parties did turn into ones where the attendees would have sex with the prostitutes or fellow attendees. These could get wild and lusty. There are some historical accounts of these events, yet again, some of these stories are exaggerated or are rumors perpetuated over 2,000 years of retelling. So where do we go next in our little adventure through ancient sex in Rome? Caligula. Of course, Caligula. Caligula. Naughty, naughty Caligula. His name is actually Gaius Caesar Augustus Germanicus. That's a serious name to live up to. But the name Caligula, as some of you may know, comes from these Roman leather shoes, these little boots. And when Caligula, little Gaius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, was out with his father, Germanicus, who was a great general, he had a little Roman uniform with his little Roman boots, and they were called, and he got his little nickname from the little boots he wore, from the Caligula. So his name is Caligula, little boots, and he would totally hate it that we still use that name for him today. So we're going to talk about Caligula. He is the great-grandson of Augustus, the great-great-grandnephew of Julius Caesar, an impressive heritage, and also quite a bit to live up to. So the story of Caligula actually begins with the emperor that came after Augustus, Tiberius. And Tiberius was not a friendly dude. He was also one of those dirty old men, and he lived on Capri because he just couldn't handle Rome anymore. And he often would have all kinds of debaucherous things happening there. In particular, the story of his little fishes. He would have a bath in his little pool and have boys swim under the water and nibble him. It wasn't very nice. And here's Tiberius at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, and he's not a very nice guy. However, after he died under suspicious circumstances, many believe that Caligula may have smothered Tiberius or had him smothered. Nonetheless, here he finds himself now the emperor of Rome, and following in the footsteps of Julius Caesar and Augustus. But there's rumors about Caligula that start out almost right away. He was only 23 when he ruled, and he only ruled for a few years. But one of the first rumors are about his relationship with his sister Drusilla, who was shown here. And there are rumors that it was an incestuous relationship and so on and so forth. But she died young, and when she died, he mourned her deeply and greatly. And, so but that's not giving you any of the naughtiness really of Caligula, because that's just rumor. Did he also have these awesome crazy parties? Yes, he did. And sometimes these parties went completely out of control. And he is rumored sometimes to have taken the wives of Roman senators, respectable women, off into the back room, have sex with them, and come back and give his account of the performance. But I've also heard this said about other Roman emperors as well. So I'm thinking that may be rumor, or maybe that's just what Roman emperors do. It doesn't seem very polite. But again, that's Caligula. You know, he's known for this sort of excess. Another rumor, which, well, it's a debatable fact, because it's been talked about, in several historians talk about it, but they may have reason to make things up a little bit, or to kind of expand the rumor a bit. And that is the rumor of Caligula opening up a bordello on the Palatine in the palace and charging money, and even forcing respectable women to work there and so forth. And so that is Caligula. He was assassinated not too long after. He only ruled for about 5 years. And he is known for that, and many, many stories. We could do a whole video in just Caligula alone. Let's talk about Messalina, Empress of Rome, wife of Claudius, emperor after Caligula. And she is totally going for the gold in the competition for who is the naughtiest Roman. I love telling stories about her. She is a lot of fun. Let's check her out. This is a bust of Messalina as a Roman matron, as a wife, as a mother, as an empress. And these are the roles she did indeed play. She was the mother of the child of Claudius. And here she is shown with her son. And she is shown very demure, very matronly, in the way that a Roman empress at that time should be known as and portrayed. But Messalina was also known for being very attractive, exotic, sexy, and, as I've mentioned, totally going for the goal for naughtiness. She is very, very well known for having a lot of adulterous affairs and even a secret marriage. Here she is in this lovely sculpture. I love this, of her after one of her sexual encounters, relaxing, reclining, after probably not being with Claudius. But one of my favorite stories about Messalina is the story of Messalina and her competition with the best prostitute in Rome. And the competition was who could have the most partners within one period of time, within one evening. And Messalina won. I believe the number was 25. And so she is definitely extremely naughty, and that is not how the wife of an emperor should act. So the adulterous affairs, the secret marriage, the competition in the brothel, this eventually was entirely too much shame for the emperor, especially the secret marriage. And so she retreated to her favorite garden, which she actually stole from somebody else. But she was still, soldiers were still sent after her for her execution. And she was offered to kill herself, but the soldiers instead ran her through, and she died in the presence of her mother. And, so that also shows us that Claudius isn't the nicest guy either, but he is not going for the naughtiness as much as Messalina. Although after Messalina, he did marry his niece, which is another story for another day. That is my discussion on sex in the Roman world for tonight. Clearly, we have to explore this further. As I was researching this, there were so many stories I had to leave out. So we will include those in future videos. I look forward to seeing you guys again, and I really hope you enjoyed this. And please feel free to ask me any questions. Have a lovely evening.